You pretty much already, or you're leading me into my next to last question, which is who should be developing these schools? Because you mentioned there needs to be that community input into the process. So if there are folks listening out there, I started a magnet school myself. So it wasn't a charter school, it was a magnet. It was one of the best experiences I had in my life. Enjoyable, creative, really made me excited about being an educator. So I'm sure there are folks out there thinking about, teachers out there thinking about, I want to start my own school. I want to have my own charter school. So to help them out, who should be starting these schools, and how can someone go about if they're a teacher somewhere and they don't know how to start a school or how to begin the process? So not only who should be creating these schools, but how can they start going about it?
Yeah. Well, I'd start with saying you have to be a little bit nuts to start a charter school, because it is a lot of work. Maybe not nuts, but you have to be ready to work.
Yeah.
And I say that in that the application and some of those steps we talked about earlier about applying to a charter school, engaging with the community, all that stuff is really a lot of work. And then actually opening and running the school, and teaching is the hardest job you'll have, and running a charter school is, if you're the school leader, it's might even be harder than teaching. So so to put that out there, and it's, as you alluded to, it's rewarding and amazing at the same time. I think we think that certainly I was a teacher. As I said, I was nothing special. I was a teacher, and one of my teacher colleagues and I, and as I alluded to, a couple artist colleagues, we had a vision for something different. And so I've talked to one of the people who comes to my mind is a mother who I talked to. Now, she happened to also run a nonprofit program. This is out in California. She ran a nonprofit program, that like an after-school program for girls. And she and some mothers in her community, they called themselves the Mom Squad. They wanted a different opportunity. They didn't love the educational opportunities they had in their community. And so they were actually trying to recruit someone like a charter school operator to come in and start a new school in their community. And they couldn't get anyone to bite. But as they were talking to one of those operators, they said, you know what, you guys, you all can, this Mom Squad can start your own school. And so they ended up essentially doing so. I mean, the school's scheduled to open next fall.
Nice.
California. And so it's got to be, I think, first of all, it's people, to your question of who, it's people who are part of, in many cases, or are listening deeply to communities and understanding what this community seeks and aspires to, and how their child's education is part of that. It's folks who have just deep, strong vision and mission for what they want to do, and also folks who are willing to be flexible in that. Just another example. Here's an example of this was in Tennessee, or is in Tennessee. An educator, a teacher, went to graduate school at Columbia, and all those kinds of things. Very highly educated guy. Went back to his community in East Tennessee and wanted to start a school. He was part of one of these incubator programs, and he wanted to start a STEM school. But he connected with his community. He listened to his community. He had all kinds of meetings and all kinds of conversations, and talked to scores of people. He learned that they actually wanted a bilingual Spanish-English immersion program. So he shifted everything he was thinking about because he listened to his community.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought, he was from that community, although he had left, but he came back. But he was just really responsive and listening. And so I'm talking a little bit more about the characteristics of school leaders, but I think that's really critical. People who understand education and are effective instructional leaders. I mean, it's critical that charter schools have effective instructional leadership, and that's not enough. So you might be a great instructional leader, a teacher, a principal, instructional coach, and if you have ideas about starting a charter school in your community, you're on the same page with your community, you also need to think about operations, right? So when you work in a school district, the district machine, if you will, worries about the facilities and worries about the buses and worries about, you know, the PD and all these things. When you're a charter school operator, you worry about all those things as well. So you have to, it doesn't always have to be you, but you need to bring together a team that understands school finance, that understands, you know, navigating facilities and contracts and all those things, right?